I was never bullied in school, but oddly enough, I did have two bullies in my life, and they were at our local skate park. So in this video, I'm gonna go street skateboarding and look for some spots while simultaneously talking about the time that I was bullied and how I defeated both bullies. So let's talk about bully number one, the best skateboarder actually in the community, and he didn't like me at all. The thing that was weird is that he was a very aggressive person in general. A lot of people didn't really like him, but then a lot of other people would be like, yo, he's actually the best. Trust me, bro, once you get to know him, he's the best. So with him and me, he really just messed with me a lot. Like at the skate park when he would go by me, he'd be like, yeah, huh, huh, and kind of just shout random nonsense to me or make fun of something I was wearing. And he would just do these things kind of subtly for a little while until I actually started riding for the same company he rode for, which was our local skate shop, Blue Tile. And then things got worse. Let's just jump into the climax of the situation. I actually went to Florida with him on a trip. One thing I forgot to mention is that he was a very, very, very heavy drinker. One night when he was very intoxicated, he came up to me as I was sitting on the couch, got in my face as I was eating, and basically called me very derogatory terms that means like, and he was just like saying that in my face over and over, being like, what? And keep in mind that this dude's like, this much shorter than me. I had known this dude for years, and at this point I was very open about not liking him, so I think it all just came into fruition, especially because I was being noticed by the skate community, so he felt threatened in some way. He felt like I was taking his place on the team, and this was kind of the climax where he was just like trying to really get at me, and it still didn't really work. So here's the truth, he was never physically assaulting to me, especially because I think instantly he knows that it would have been like an actual, fight. I don't think he was looking for that. I think he was just trying to mess with people, which he did with me. But here's the thing, the second bully was much, much worse. But before I talk about the second bully, before I talk about how I solved it and beat both of them, let's just cruise around here, try to find some things to skate, get a little warm up for the day, and yeah. Whoa, this thing's crazy. It's like a perfect flat rail that you have to gap to. That thing was really cool. Right now it's about like noting spots we can come to later, but for now I'm gonna keep exploring because the more spots the merrier today. Quantity over quality. All these spots are right next to each other, but riding onto this ledge and grinding, maybe, if we can wax it up enough. So bully number two, a much worse human being, and you know what, yeah, let's just get into it. Bully number two was basically the opposite of bully number one. Bully number one was a mess, and you can kind of tell right away that he was just crazy and eccentric and yelled and ran around and was just, if you were in his path, you were gonna get crushed. But bully number two was a little more, he was actually a little suave and likable. He was really good at getting a lot of people to like him really fast and kind of using those people to assist him in not liking people. So I just happened to become the brunt of that. So with me, it was more of like that elitism bullying, being like, oh, like kind of like this peasant type, which is weird because he moved into the community. I was like someone from Colombia, and then all of a sudden I felt kind of like an outcast by this guy, but he was rude and mean, and yeah. He would kind of make fun of a lot of things I was about, the music, like the skate videos I made, the tricks that I did, like almost everything I did, I felt like I just wasn't doing them right. I was from a small town, so I didn't have like this grand perspective that he had from wherever he was from. The context for me really started to take shape of why he didn't like me when one time I filmed this trick at a skate spot and he watched the footage of me doing this trick. It was a trick that he was shocked that I did, which made me feel really good, but he sat there staring at the screen and watched it about 50 times, angry. Like he wasn't like, yo, what? He was like looking at it and analyzing it, being like, how could he have done this? And that was it. He really just discouraged my beliefs, and he was on Blue Tile team too. So I was on a team with two people who gave me a lot of trouble growing up. And then, of course, you know, the climax, the solution of how we fix this, I'm gonna talk about after exploring this school and getting some skateboarding in, because you know what? I need more skateboarding in my life, and yeah. This place is incredible. It's the first place I looked for. I just typed in high school and found it, even though my toe is hurt because the other day I spent 3 hours trying to learn a new trick, and I'm probably gonna make a separate video like really pursuing this one trick that I just can't seem to land. That's why my toe hurts, and that's why the session wasn't like 1000%, but I still had a really good time. So how did I officially defeat the bullies? Well, I didn't get physical. I didn't beat them up. The truth is I kind of did nothing. I know it seems like a cop-out for this whole video, but trust me, this is like the soundest advice that I think I can give for anyone dealing with something like this. Spoiler alert, I'm actually friends with the first bully now. The second guy, you know, we never made up or anything, but I definitely don't live with like this eternal hatred for this guy. The first guy was an alcoholic ever since he was a kid. He'd literally been drinking since he was very, very little, consistently, and that's the way that he dealt with his anxiety. And his life got much harder after that. There were so many things that he had to deal with. I mean, he was a very, very good skateboarder, and he was going to California and pursuing being on companies, and everything fell apart because he was an alcoholic. Once I realized that this dude is going through much more than he ever gave me, I learned to forgive and forget. And then when I met him later on in life, and he had actually become sober for years, he was one of the nicest people I'd ever met in my life. He was a completely different human, and we had like an amazing conversation just right off the bat, and he didn't even remember all the stuff he did to me. He just remembers like, yeah, I don't really remember most of my life because I've been an alcoholic, but I'm sober now and I'm happy. As for the second guy, it's hard because there was a lot more privilege in his way. It's not like he was an alcoholic, but whatever issues he had to deal with in terms of insecurity is why he projected them onto me. So he himself had to deal with this huge bag of insecurity that basically led him to move away. Everywhere he went, he would basically make everyone hate him, and he had to keep changing cities. Although I can relate to him and not really having like a home, he never found like any version of home, people, a place, or anything. He just like kind of forever isolated himself from all of society. The last thing I actually heard of him was that he was doing crack. And if you know anything about drugs, that's like, it's not cocaine, it's not weed, it's like crack, dude. That is, you know. And what am I supposed to say? Like, yes, I got him, dude. Now he's like, you know, really struggling in life. It's like, no, obviously I don't think there's any reason for me to feel good about that. It's weird because I talked to David Toole from Blue Tile. He basically babysat all of us. All of us had like troubled homes, and he looked after each of us. And I asked him, like, what is wrong with these dudes? Why are people on your team so mean? And he literally told me that me and these two guys had a lot more in common than we had different. He taught me that we were all passionate, lost souls, and my dysfunctions just happened to work better in society as a whole. But in reality, that we were all just as twisted, just as dark in a lot of ways. He said that he thinks the reason that these two came at me is because they saw a lot of themselves in me and they've hated themselves. So obviously, they're not gonna like me. Bullying is a much bigger topic than I can really tackle. I can only talk about my personal experience, but I know that sometimes it can drive people to do terrible things. This sounds really silly, but even Elon Musk said this on Joe Rogan's podcast, that at the end of the day, the way that the world works best, the way that humans work best, is that if they experience love in some way, acceptance in some way or another. I, like the other two bullies in our lives, have probably dealt with a lot of unlove, a lot of whatever the opposite of that is. So you know, it can twist you in a lot of different ways, but you have to cling and hold on to those people who can truly make you feel accepted. Imagine the darkness of being 40 years old, having a kid, and realize that you were once a kid who tormented kids like your kid. It's not an easy realization. Anyways, I hope any of that was interesting to you. I hope you enjoyed today's little skate adventure. I am so glad to be here in Texas. I'm definitely gonna try to do more of this because there is so much to explore. This is literally one school out of hundreds in this city, and I can't wait to go to every single one and skate. But thank you so much for tuning in today. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do so. Of course, April 1st, that is our big Progress Daily launch that is about to happen. Now, I couldn't be more pumped. So of course, follow Progress Daily Instagram, my Instagram if you want to keep up with basically a lot of extra content that you don't get to see in these videos. I'm literally uploading every day to both of those accounts. So tune in, subscribe, Monday through Friday, videos all week, every week. Links in description down below. Take care, progress daily, and keep killing it.